Hello there. This is Heirs to the Kingdom channel. And in today's lesson, we're doing chapters 17 and 18 of Genesis. If you're new to this, the Bible study channel, going through the King James Bible, not skipping anything, as Scripture commands. So if you would, like, subscribe, and share this content. And we'll get started here. So at the end of chapter 16, Hagar bore Ishmael, which is technically the first son of Abraham, but God did not plan on using the lineage of Ishmael for Christ. So what happened was Sarah got jealous and everything, was displeased that Hagar got pregnant so easy, because Sarai right now has been barren, and she has never bore children for Abram. So it upset her, and she wanted to kick the woman and the child out, which later on does happen. But this time Abraham prays about it first, and God tells him to go ahead, that he will take care of her. He says, okay. Because what the problem was, Abraham did not pray to God first before taking Hagar as a concubine. Well, kind of, I don't think anyone ever was with Hagar before, so it's a little bit of a confusing area in that. But yeah, so Abram was 86 years old when Hagar bare Ishmael to Abram, was the last part of that. So 80 is 4 times 20. A score is 20. So that means he was 86 years old when this took place. So let's continue on with the lesson here with 17, chapter 1. And when Abram was 90 years old and 9, the Lord appeared to Abram and said unto him, I am the Almighty God, walk before me and be thou perfect. Now, as of right now, Hagar and Ishmael are with them. So Ishmael would be around 13 years old at this point in time. Verse 2. And I will make my covenant between me and thee, and will multiply thee exceedingly. And Abram fell on his face, and God talked with him, saying, As for me, behold, my covenant is with thee, and thou shalt be a father of many nations. Neither shall thy name any more be called Abram, but thy name shall be Abraham. For a father of many nations have I made thee. And I will make thee exceeding fruitful, and I will make nations of thee, and kings shall come out of thee. Now, one of the other reasons I think that God did not want to go through Ishmael is Abraham and Sarai, which will later be called Sarah, they are half brothers and sisters. They're half siblings. Same dad, different moms. So that is a pure bloodline that later gotta remember that Mary and Joseph are also cousins from the lineage of David. Both of them are from the lineage of King David that are with Jesus. But Joseph did not seed Jesus, God did. But Abraham and his descendants are God's chosen people, so they are pretty much of the seed. We're all of the seed of God if we look at it that way, but anyways. Hagar was an Egyptian. She was not of the bloodline. And so more than likely that's the reason why. Is later on with Scripture, we're going to find more talking about the rules and stuff, and like if you want to live in peace, you must be with like-minded, and at these times is mostly with your own kind. So with people that are, in your close to your immediate family and close to cousins and stuff, because family helps family. But yeah, so I don't know if that's the full reason, but that's the only thing that kind of makes sense to me. So, well, I do know that it wanted to be, it's kind of like Jesus. It was a birth, a pregnancy that would not take place normally, so it had to be a blessing from God. This is something that they done outside of what God wanted, with Abraham being with Hagar. And so God didn't want that. He wanted to pretty much create the child, which will be called Isaac. So it's pretty much a God created pregnancy both ways. And Isaac was to be sacrificed but stopped. Jesus was sacrificed. Anyways, let's continue on here. We'll get more into that story. And I did read verse 6, right? Yes, I did. So, verse 7. And I will establish my covenant between me and thee and thy seed after thee in their generations for an everlasting covenant to be a God unto thee and to thy seed after thee. And I will give unto thee and to thy seed after thee the land wherein thou art a stranger, all the land of Canaan, for an everlasting possession, and I will be their God. And God said unto Abraham, Thou shalt keep my covenant, therefore thou and thy seed after thee in their generations. This is my covenant, which ye shall keep between me and you and thy seed after thee. Every man-child among you shall be circumcised. So here's the first rule of circumcised. Now this is only for the Israelites. It was never for anyone else. Because see, it was for him and his seed after him. Verse 11. And ye shall circumcise the flesh of your foreskin, and it shall be a token of the covenant betwixt me and you. And he that is 8 days old shall be circumcised among you, every man-child in your generations, he that is born in the house or bought with money of any stranger, which is not of thy seed. So here's also the introduction is, if they're in your house or part of your, what we call religion today, they convert to Judaism, and they're part of your area, they will also be circumcised. But, Gentiles are things outside of Judaism or, Israelites. Verse 13. He that is born in thy house and he that is bought with thy money must needs be circumcised, and my covenant shall be in your flesh for an everlasting covenant. And the uncircumcised man-child whose flesh of his foreskin is not circumcised, that soul shall be cut off from his people. He hath broken my covenant. And God said unto Abraham, As for Sarai thy wife, thou shalt call her name Sarai, not call her name Sarai, but Sarah shall her name be. And I will bless her and give thee a son also of her. Yea, I will bless her, and she shall be a mother of nations. Kings of people shall be of her. Then Abraham fell upon his face and laughed and said in his heart, Shall a child be born unto him that is 100 years old? And shall Sarah that is 90 years old bear? And Abraham said unto God, Oh, that Ishmael might live before thee. And God said, Sarah thy wife shall bear thee a son indeed, and thou shalt call his name Isaac. And I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant, and with his seed after him. And as for Ishmael, I have heard thee. Behold, I have blessed him, and will make him fruitful, and will multiply him exceedingly. 12 princes shall he beget, and I will make him a great nation. But my covenant will I establish with Isaac, which Sarah shall bear unto thee at this set time in the next year. And he left off talking with him, and God went up from Abraham. And Abraham took Ishmael his son, and all that were born in his house, and all that were bought with his money, every male among the men of Abraham's house, and circumcised the flesh of their foreskin in the selfsame day as God had said unto him. And Abraham was 90 years old and 9 when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. And Ishmael his son was 13 years old when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. In the selfsame day was Abraham circumcised in Ishmael his son. And all the men of his house, born in the house, and bought with money of the stranger, were circumcised with him. Chapter 18. And the Lord appeared unto him in the plains of Mamre, and he sat in the tent door in the heat of the day. And he lifted up his eyes and looked, and lo, 3 men stood by him. And when he saw them, he ran to meet them from the tent door, and bowed himself toward the ground, and said, My Lord, if now I have found favor in thy sight, pass not away, I pray thee, from thy servant. Let a little water, I pray you, be fetched, and wash your feet, and rest yourselves under the tree. And I will fetch a morsel of bread, and comfort ye your hearts, after that ye shall pass on. For therefore are ye come to your servant. And they said, So do as thou hast said. And Abraham hastened into the tent unto Sarah, and said, Make ready quickly 3 measures of fine meal, knead it, and make cakes upon the hearth. And Abraham ran unto the herd, and fetched a calf, tender and good, and gave it unto a young man, and he hasted to dress it. Which today we would, I think a lot of people still use the word dressing, dress the kill, but gut it and skin it and prepare it for meat, for food. Verse 8. And he took butter and milk and the calf which he had dressed, and set it before them, and he stood by them under the tree, and they did eat. And they said unto him, Where is Sarah thy wife? And he said, Behold, in the tent. And he said, I will certainly return unto thee according to the time of life. And lo, Sarah thy wife shall have a son. And Sarah heard it in the tent door, which was behind him. Now Abraham and Sarah were old and well stricken in age, and it ceased to be with Sarah after the manner of woman. Therefore Sarah laughed within herself, saying, After I am waxed old, shall I have pleasure, my Lord being old also? And the Lord said unto Abraham, Wherefore did Sarah laugh, saying, Shall I of a surety bear a child which am old? Is anything too hard for the Lord? At the time appointed I will return unto thee according to the time of life, and Sarah shall have a son. Then Sarah denied, saying, I laughed not, for she was afraid. And he said, Nay, but thou didst laugh. And the men rose up from thence and looked toward Sodom, and Abraham went with them to bring them on the way. And the Lord said, Shall I hide from Abraham that thing which I do, seeing that Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him? For I know him, that he will command his children and his household after him, and they shall keep the way of the Lord, to do justice and judgment, that the Lord may bring upon Abraham that which he hath spoken of him. And the Lord said, Because the cry of Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and because their sin is very grievous, I will go down now, and see whether they have done altogether according to the cry of it, which is come unto me, and if not, I will know. And the men turned their faces from thence, and went toward Sodom, but Abraham stood yet before the Lord. And Abraham drew near and said, Wilt thou also destroy the righteous with the wicked? Peradventure there be 50 righteous within the city. Wilt thou also destroy and not spare the place for the 50 righteous that are therein, that be far from thee, to do after this manner, to slay the righteous with the wicked, and that the righteous should be as the wicked, that be far from thee? Shall not the judge of all the earth do right? And the Lord said, If I find in Sodom 50 righteous, then the city, then I will spare all the place for their sakes. And Abraham answered and said, Behold, now I have taken upon me to speak unto the Lord, which am but dust and ashes. Peradventure there shall lack 5 of the 50 righteous. Wilt thou destroy all the city for lack of 5? And he said, If I find there 45, I will not destroy it. And he spake unto him yet again, and said, Peradventure there shall be 40 found there. And he said, I will not do it for 40's sake. And he said to him, Oh, let not the Lord be angry, and I will speak. Peradventure there shall 30 be found there. And he said, I will not do it if I find 30 there. And he said, Behold, now I have taken upon me to speak unto the Lord. Peradventure there shall be 20 found there. And he said, I will not destroy it for 20's sake. And he said, Oh, let not the Lord be angry, and I will speak yet but this once. Peradventure 10 shall be found there. And he said, I will not destroy it for 10's sake. And the Lord went his way as soon as he had left communing with Abraham, and Abraham returned unto his place. And that's the end of this lesson. So Lot is in Sodom, him and his family. And Abraham knows this. So if there's at least 10 righteous people in the city, he won't destroy them. But of course we know, spoiler alert, Sodom and Gomorrah does get destroyed, and only Lot and his family is saved, minus Lot's wife, who looks back and becomes a pillar of salt because she disobeys the word of the men sent, the angel sent by God to, get Lot and his family out. I said that's going to be part of the next lesson. We'll be jumping into that then. But yeah, hope you're enjoying the lesson. And like I always say at the end of every lesson, always make sure to pray. Why? So we make sure that we're not Sodom and Gomorrah. That our house is not Sodom and Gomorrah. Or Gomorrah. Pray that your cities don't become that way. We got lots of cities here in America that have went that way. And now they're being destroyed from within by their own people. And I'm the type that says, let it happen. You can't save people that don't want to be saved. People that want wickedness should be allowed to bathe in their wickedness, and whatever happens, happens. That's just my take on it. People that refuse to listen, learn, or use logic or common sense, you just sometimes you learn this in the military. You just can't save everybody. If everybody retreats because something massive coming, and people stay because they don't retreat with the rest for whatever reason, they get too scared, they don't listen, or this, that, and the other, it just happens. But these people choose wickedness. They choose the same type of sins as Sodom and Gomorrah lived in. They want to steal money from everyone else so they can live. They don't want to earn their keep. They don't want to make families. You know, they don't want to take care of their families. They don't want to take care of their societies. They don't want to be governed. They just want to be problems. These people, unless something majorly happens in their inner core person, their soul, they can't be saved. They can't even be reached. You can't even talk to them. Half the time they're doing bullhorns and whistles in your ear. You can't talk to them. They've been taught to reject you. So you pray for them. That's all you really can do. You know, you pray for the lost, the found, yourself, others, all nations, all people, all societies. Everybody deserves prayer. Whether it reaches them or not, that's a different story. But you're to do your part. You're not to do their part. Remember, you're responsible for you. No matter what someone does to you in society, you're responsible for you. Just because someone does evil or wickedness to you or whatever else in your area, especially the ones calling themselves Christians, that doesn't mean it's okay for you to do it. Because they're clearly living a hypocrite life, which is an abomination to the Lord. Like I always say, there's always something to pray about. Somewhere, something. And don't forget to give God all the praise, glory, and worship, and thanks in everything, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the indifferent. I'm going to go ahead and end this lesson here. So until next time, God bless, good night, and goodbye.